What if at the end of Rise of Skywalker, when Rey defeated Palpatine, Palpatine was just holding back, and he did this so Rey would be able to destroy him, and thus granting him the ability to transfer over his essence into her body. So at the very end, when she looks off into the distance and she says that she's a Skywalker, that's just Palpatine's way of mocking the Skywalkers once again. You see, I would make it that Palpatine, now in Rey's body, would start a new academy of Force users, but this time teach them the dark side of the Force. And this will be Palpatine's way of starting a Sith academy and ultimately having a new Sith army. He would play the long game in secret, training a new flock of Force users that were loyal to him and him alone. Now, of course, this would throw the balance of the Force into darkness, and once again, the wills of the Force would need to intervene to bring back balance to the Force, and would do so by sending the Force ghost of Luke Skywalker to Exegol to revive the body of none other than Ben Solo, the true Skywalker, the true descendant of Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One. Ben Solo, now revived on Exegol, he would wander around until he eventually would go through the Jedi trials. And the Jedi trials would present themselves in the form of none other than Darth Vader. Vader would appear before Ben, and Ben would be lost for words. He had admired him his entire life, and now there he was before him. Ben would have many questions, but before Ben could say anything, Vader would swing at Ben with his crimson saber. Ben would try his best to dodge the attacks, but would start to feel helpless. Vader is just too good and ruthless. Vader would then use the Force and hurl Ben back against the wall. Ben would fall in sheer pain and agony as he's telling himself that this is the end. Vader would then slowly approach Ben, ready to deal the last blow, but then the Force ghost of none other than Anakin Skywalker would appear and help Ben up. He would reassure his grandson and tell him that this is not the end but just the beginning. Anakin would then hand Ben his lightsaber, and this is when Ben would take the fight to Vader, and the two would have an epic lightsaber duel, the likes of which we've never seen in Star Wars. But Vader is just too good with the saber, and Ben would know this. He would then hear the voice of Luke and Anakin as they tell him to trust in the Force and to not be afraid of the darkness within him, that it is a part of him as it has always been in his family. And this is when Ben would use the Force and crush Vader's chest, causing the Sith Lord to vanish. Ben had passed the trials. With the Jedi trials now passed, Ben Solo would find a way to get off world, and he would know that he needs to find Rey, who is really Palpatine. Anakin and Luke would have told him that Palpatine has transferred his essence over into Rey's body, and that she plans to build a Sith army out in the unknown regions of the galaxy. Ben would try his best to find her, but he just doesn't know that part of the galaxy. But the Force would guide him to someone that did, none other than Ezra Bridger, who spent a large portion of his life in the unknown regions. Ezra would join Ben on his quest to find Rey and ultimately put a stop to her. Ben would try and warn the New Republic that Rey was really Palpatine and she intends to attack, but nobody would listen to him. Now some time will pass, about 10 years, and Ben and Ezra are out in the unknown regions of space. Ezra is far older now, and he has become a mentor towards Ben. The two have had many adventures throughout the years. But then, on the capital planet of the Republic, Coruscant, an armada of Sith Star Destroyers would jump out of hyperspace and begin to rain fire on the capital planet. Now this armada is led by none other than Rey, and she has caught Coruscant off guard. You see, for the past 10 years there has been nothing but peace. The Republic had no need for a standing army. They were helpless, and Rey would easily and swiftly would be able to destroy the Senate chambers and all of the representatives, and the galaxy would be thrusted into chaos. Now Ben and Ezra would of course hear of this, and they would rush back towards Coruscant to face Rey once and for all. And as they're approaching Coruscant, they would get word that Rey and her forces have made the old Jedi Temple into their stronghold. And when they arrive, they are met by Rey's second-in-command, a dark side user known as Talon. Talon was once Maul's apprentice, and she was now the leader of the criminal organization known as Crimson Dawn. Ben and Ezra would waste no time and take the fight to Talon, but Talon is powerful, and with her double-bladed lightsabers, she is able to take on the two. But if she knows that if this fight continues, she would most certainly lose. So she starts to focus on the elderly Ezra, and she is able to best his defenses and land a mortal blow. Now Ben sees this, and it causes him to lose control and only focus on his anger. He uses the Force to take Ezra's lightsaber, and now with two sabers is able to take the fight to Talon, and he is able to best her and ultimately strike her down. But before he's able to contemplate as to what just happened, he begins to hear a familiar chuckle, but this time through the voice of Rey. She tells him that now he is worthy to take his place besides her, and together they could rule the galaxy as they were meant to. But Ben would decline, and he would tell her that the prophecy of the Sith being destroyed needed to be fulfilled. Rey would laugh and shoot Force lightning at Ben, causing him to fall back. Now Ben would try his best to try and block the attack, but Rey has the spirit of the most powerful Sith Lord that has ever lived inside of her. She is just too powerful. She would berate and taunt Ben, telling him that he was not the chosen one and he had no right to fulfill the prophecy. But then the Force ghost of Anakin Skywalker would appear, and he would tell Rey that she was correct, that Ben wasn't the chosen one, but he was. Rey would be terrified. She would know that she is no match for Anakin Skywalker. She would try to retreat, but Anakin Skywalker would grab her with the Force, and in a pulling motion, he would suck out the Force spirit of Darth Sidious. And Anakin would then use the Force to crush it, vaporizing it once and for all, and thus fulfilling the prophecy. Now Anakin would tell Ben that there's still a slight essence of Palpatine inside of Rey, and he needed to finish the job. And without hesitation, Ben would charge at Rey and thrust his saber into her, defeating her once and for all. Now this is pretty much how it would end. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Sensational!